Welcome everybody. Welcome Indhu. We have a very interesting and exciting talk today titled Becoming a Planetary Scientist. We have a CEG alumna from 2012 from Geoinformatics department, Indhu Varatharajan, here with us. So we are all excited to hear from her. And before we hand over the baton to her, just a few logistics suggestions. Let's all please remind ourselves that this is a large group. So we'll mute our microphones if we are not speaking, which in this case, except Indhu, every one of us. So this session is going to be recorded and also going to be streamed on YouTube. In terms of questions, please use the chat window to ask your questions. So muting should not be a problem. Now, with that kind of a quick overview, let's pass the baton to Indhu. Indhu, do you?
Before we do that, Karthik,
yes.
Can you keep your eyes on the people who are waiting to be admitted?
So I've been doing that.
Okay, great, thanks.
And then there is, I see about 25 participants so far.
Yep.
And let's first should I say one participant can share at a time and Indhu make them the co-host?
So just let one participant share at a time and Indhu will share.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So shall I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, thanks Shanta, Karthik, Ashit, Syed, and everybody in the team for the opportunity to talk about my journey. And I hope what I'm going to present here is going to help many of you if you want to turn your career into planetary and space exploration. And let's go out from here. So I'm going to share the screen to have the talk. So stop me if you could not see my PowerPoint slide now.
We're able to see the screen. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks. So becoming a planetary science, I'm going to go down to the next slide. So, so planetary science itself is exploring space and exploring whole universe in a way of through data. And my journey to planetary research has taken me from a small village in Tamil Nadu to many more places that I never ever imagined in my childhood I'd ever do that. So I thought for sharing my journey, why I'm here, what I'm doing right now, it will really inspire and maybe help you to see what are the different ways and routes that you can actually become a planetary scientist in your future. So my early education started in a very small village called Valliyur, and I was studying in a school called Keynes Matriculation Higher Secondary School. It's a very amazing school academically. They always produce straight ranks and stuff. I was also very studious student at that time. Until 7th standard, I never thought really about space and planets and something like that, except for, when there is power cut, you go upstairs in your home and then you see the starry sky and you admire about it. But everything's changed in my 7th standard. So it was the first class in the morning. It was my chemistry teacher's class. He came and he said, "Hey, did you hear the news? There is a disaster. It's a Columbia disaster where we lost one of our Indian astronauts, and her name is Kalpana Chawla." All these different words were actually very new for a girl or anybody who is from that village background and trying to know what our world is made up of. And he was started to explain on how the disaster happened, what happened, and about the nozzle and everything, and it was all inspiring. And at the end of the class, he said, hey, now you heard all these things, who wants to become an astronaut right now? And because nobody was putting their hands up, I just put my hands up. Nothing changed. I mean, that was it. It was like, okay, there's something cool and nobody is showing up, but let me show up. And during the same time, what happened is that when I used to be in school, I used to represent school quiz teams. So myself and a friend, we always go to these district quiz teams and such that, and we always made to at least a final round. And there was another quiz round is coming to place. It's called National Astronomy Competition or something, and school wanted us to represent. That was the first time we got an opportunity to know what is astronomy. You know, if you are a 90s kid back then, we didn't have in our syllabus what is astronomy and so. So my dad got a very nice small book from an Eagle bookstore in Tirunelveli, if you know. And I saw it's a very small book talking about Sun, Mercury, and other planets. It was so fascinating. And once I finished reading the book, I thought, yeah, now I know everything. I went and attended the preliminary round, which is a written test. The questions were so amazing, and I do not know any answer for. I barely could answer anything. Then so one of the questions I still remember is, if you put a 100x telescope in Mount Everest, what is the nearest object you will see? It was about Andromeda Galaxy and 3 other options, which I don't even remember right now. The question paper was so inspiring, not inspiring, it's so like filling you with all the curiosity. Hey, I want to know the answer for this question. Where can I even learn all these things? I came back with such a disappointment. Okay, obviously I failed. We never went to the final round. We never cleared the preliminary round. And but the curiosity of knowing what was just inside me, and there was no other channel to really grow at that time because of the village, and we barely get to read newspaper. That was not an internet age, so that we didn't have any access to internet to really explore, you know, what is there around the world other than the news channel and some newspapers what we have. That inspiration turned to passion when I was doing 11th and 12th. So 11th and 12th, fortunately, I got to come to DLM International School in Chennai through scholarship. And the school was very different from the education what I had in Kings. But I mean, different from what I had in my village. So this school not only very good in academic standard, but they also allow students to explore whatever they want to like. When I came to the school, we were allowed to access unlimited number of hours of library resources and the computer resources with internet and everything, which allowed me to go to library every free time I get. I go to the library, and wherever I see a book with astronomy or space or planet, something like that, I start reading. And school was watching me over this time. And when they know I'm going to pass my 12th and I should think about my career, the school was very amazing because they give very one-to-one kind of attention to almost every student who studies in that school, which was very different for me until all the education I got before. So the school, they really wanted to help my passion. They simply not giving an opinion of, Indhu, you do this so that you can become this. Instead of giving their simple opinion, they really wanted to help. So they actually directed me to a career counselor. That's the first time I ever heard the name career counselor. And I went to the career counselor in Mylapore with my dad. He's a technocraft career. I still do not know if they still exist, but if they do, please, thanks to them. And I told them, even I didn't know what I want to do with my life. All I know is that I really like all these planets and space stuff. And he listened to me and he said, hey, there is this department called Geoinformatics in CEG. Even at that time, CEG was a very new word for me, you know, CEG. And if you take the department, you can actually turn your career into planetary science or space research. That's the one and only reason I took the Geoinformatics of College of Engineering, and I'm very, very happy I did. One thing is the department itself, the subject itself. The other thing, the CEG. CEG opened up a very, very vast opportunities that I could actually push over to the rest of my career. It actually reflects till now. So the very next month I came to the college. I went back. I mean, the backside of, in Kotrapuram, we have Birla Planetarium. So I went there. I just went inside Birla Planetarium, told them I want to meet the director. I don't I don't know from where I get this guts. I just went there. I told them, oh, I'm very much interested in all these things. I somehow wanted to contribute, blah, blah, blah. And then he told me about Tamil Nadu Astronomy Association, and I can become a lifetime member and contribute and be involved with the community there. So that was the first time. Until that moment, I was just one, at least to my knowledge, I was the only one who was interested in these things. And I didn't have any pathway or didn't have even a community of people who were interested in the same thing. And because of Planetary and the Tamil Nadu Astronomy Association, my network kind of, it grew. And that led to bringing up some of the workshops in CEG, including a rocketry workshop when I was in my 3rd year, and bringing an astrophotography workshop when I was in my 4th year, when I was also a student director of Kurukshetra. And thanks to my senior, Aishwarya Raman, she played a very, very important role in my whole career. And she advised me, she was also very passionate about space and everything, which I came to know a little later. And she advised me, no, you should start this club called Astronomy and Planetary Science Club of CEG. And she left, and I was in 4th year. I was like, okay, let me start the club. And that will bring, so the only reason to make this club is because we do not want people like us who we are passionate in planetary science and space stuff, but we didn't know who are the other people who are still passionate. So making a club will bring people of students of CEG together, of varieties of departments, because planetary research and space itself is a research of interdisciplinary science and engineering. So bringing a club made me I get to know some of my juniors from my own department and other department who are actually interested in space research and stuff. And we went to some star parties, and so it was very nice. So geoinformatics, at that time when technocrat people told me, yeah, okay, if you take geoinformatics, you can become a space science or you can do space research. I didn't believe him seriously, because geoinformatics didn't even have space or astronomy or anything in it. I didn't believe him, but I didn't have any other way to go. I just trusted him and got into the department. So as I was into the department alone, I was understanding what geoinformatics actually is. So geoinformatics is understanding, creating information about a planet or something like that. It's mainly for Earth. Geo is Earth, and for Earth. So what from land surveying to aerial photography to orbital, remote sensing and satellites and stuff. So all what we get is innumerous number of data varieties, including gravity data, magnetic field data, mineralogy data like spectroscopy data and so, but these are all digital numbers. So geoinformatics is converting this data into information for specific science use case. I loved all these different aspects, but even when I was inside the department, when I was learning, I was feeling something missing, because this is not I signed up for, because I wanted to study about space and I'm studying about Earth. In the department, we study about the water use, land use, vegetation, everything. It was all interesting, but I still felt something was missing in my life. Then everything changed in my 3rd year of CEG, where we also CEG, you come to know about this opportunity called DLR-DAAD. It is an exchange program between Germany and India with Indian students only from specific colleges like CEG, IITs, and maybe NITs or so. They can actually go to Germany for 2 months internship, and DAAD will pay your flight, your stay, and everything. It's a very amazing opportunity. So when this opportunity came across, I was so adamant, if I go out of country, go somewhere, I would want to get that expertise in planetary science, or I just want to know what it is. So I wrote a professor from DLR to DLR. DLR is German Aerospace Center in Germany. It's like, in India, we have ISRO. This is Germany's space agency. And I wrote them telling that, hey, I'm very much interested in blah, blah, blah. I still do not know why he even ever accepted, because until that point, my whole resume didn't have anything about space in it. I was just a normal student from India, didn't have much of expertise until then. And thanks to him, he said, okay, that was one of the best screaming moment in the hostel. Was in the girls' hostel, 1 in the night. I screamed sitting on the stairs. I still remember that moment. I got prepared, went to DLR to see what it's all about. So that time in the host letter, he told me I'll be working with Mars. And when I reached DLR and reached Germany, it was the first time I was ever away from home, away from country, language, and every familiar places I ever knew. And the moment I reached DLR, I thought, okay, 1 week, we'll have 1 week time to have fun and stuff, but it was also a different culture, very different from what we actually experience in India. So the day, the same hour I was there, they came up with a pen drive of lots of data about Mars and some papers that I could read on. They told me, okay, Indhu, we want you to map this. I was, because what you write in your CV, they really take that seriously, and they really expect you to know every tool that you have. And so they gave me, it's the same thing. It's the same software, the same thing what I was working in working in CEG. It's the same thing, but I was applying to a different planet. That's the first time I got this kind of say that, okay, yes, whatever I'm doing right now can be it's actually being applied to different planets as well. And looking at Mars data was so amazing. And the data was actually coming from an instrument built by DLR. It's a high resolution stereo camera. It's a very high resolution of Mars data set with lots of fuel channels and craters and all these things which I never imagined to see before ever in my life. It really made me feel, okay, what I was really passionate for, and this is what we should do in our life. And the whole experience what I got there, including the experience with Mars, I also learned just by counting craters and its size and frequency distribution over a planet, we can actually date a surface of a planet. This is all very new. So all very, very different technique. And I think this is my personal opinion. I think all this learning and experience what I got at DLR gave me an opportunity to do my first research or start off my actual professional career in India. So after the college, I went to PRL. So this path is also advised by my senior. So my senior Aishwarya Raman, she told me, okay, Indhu, at the end, when you will be fourth year, you will come to know about this advertisement called Planet's workshop. Go attend that workshop. At the end of the workshop, they will take an interview and they will select project associates. When you actually see the workshop announcement, there won't be any hint about that. So the workshop, they only say you come here for 5 days and you go back. So why I'm stressing this here is to know for you to know how important networking is. I feel like this when there are not many resources, it's very important for you to grow your network, because the network will teach you different opportunities that come along with the way. Again, thanks to her, like I was in fourth year, the same opportunity came. I went for that opportunity. I went there. At the end of the 5 days, there was an interview. I attended there, got selected, became a project associate, and went to PRL for 3 years. But you should know, we were doing engineering course, so we were learning lots about applications and softwares and coding and all these different things. It's very handy to us. And then now we want to apply all that to a planet and squeeze science out of it. So science part, which I was not really trained in. And these are the year, which is like end of 2012. So also the time where we have all the Chandrayaan-1 data. It's been processed and ready to work with it. So I got the first work I did is to work for Chandrayaan-1. It was again very much interesting, and for an instrument called Moon Mineralogy Mapper. Moon Mineralogy Mapper is actually an NASA instrument, but onboard Chandrayaan-1. You might have also known Chandrayaan also won prize for international collaboration because it had so many instruments from different countries. And Moon Mineralogy Mapper is like a camera, but with multiple channels. So most of our normal cameras are 3-band or 4-band data. But if you stack a multiple band, but each band gives information about specific wavelength of that particular surface, and that information actually came from the interaction of sunlight over the surface, and it's a basic principle of spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is trying to understand what a surface is made up of through its spectral signals. When you have a multiple, very huge number of bands, in this case, if you have 260 bands or 80 bands or more, you get to have a very continuous spectrum. And each and every mineral on land or universe or everything, every mineral, every different composition has its own specific fingerprint. If we know what your skin behaves, your cell behaves, metal behaves in a specific wavelength, then you can actually, and if you search for such spectral signals in different data, and if you get a hit, means you actually have that signal of that material in the data. So that's how people say, hey, we found water on moon, or we are searching for water or biology life in a different planet. It's all because of spectroscopy. And spectroscopy is such a powerful tool because it allows you to understand the planet's surface, its composition, everything, without even touching it, without even taking a sample and analyzing it. So it's such a powerful tool. And my first work is to study my first work is on Hindu. You have to study the mineralogy of young lunar basalts. And all these words was very new for me. What? Lunar, basalts, mineralogy. Okay, how am I even ever go about it? So it was lots of self-learning during this study. And also my friends, especially I have two engineers there, because she used to sit with me every night after dinner. She teaches me, because she's the best geologist I ever met till now in my age group, best. And she used to teach me everything about what rock, what igneous rock, what Earth's made up of, and her basics really helped me to really understand the papers what I was reading about moon. At the end of 1 year, I could actually publish this work. And this work, what this work tells in very few simple words is, we have different volcanic events on the moon, and these volcanic events came to the surface. I mean, this volcanic material came to the surface at different times of the moon. If we can do a mineral map of these different volcanic deposits over the moon over time, we can actually try to understand how moon was thermally evolved over time. It was very interesting. It helps you to understand what moon interior is made up of, because volcanism is such a powerful digger. If you want to know about Earth's interior, you have to dig deep. You have to literally drill it. But craters and volcanism, they are the natural diggers which just force you the material out of the surface, like what you have in Hawaii and the lunar crater basalts, the flood volcanic basalts in Maharashtra, and so on. And at the end of the moon mission, I was still at DLR, and after this work, my advisor came to me and said, Indhu, now you have to work on the Mars. So this is another very important benefit. Doing planetary research in India, for me it was benefit, especially in the early stage, because every Indian planetary community is still small compared to different other expertise, different other fields. I mean, compared to physics and astronomy and chemistry, if you see planetary science community is very small. It's only in the number of tens. So you need to use that human resource to the maximum extent that you can. So if you are in India doing planetary science, trust me, you will get to learn a lot than wherever you are, because there are so many missions and so many people out there to worry about a particular mission, but not in India. You have to worry about each and every mission is flying. So that is an actually very good advantage in learning perspective. So India was getting prepared for Mars orbital mission, and they wanted the students and scientists to get prepared to analyze the data for that. So at that time, we had Mars reconnaissance orbiter giving us data like a spectrometer on the moon. PRISM is a spectrometer on the Mars, studying the mineralogy of the Mars, especially the water, the aqueous alteration of the Mars.
Indhu, you are on mute.
Hello?
You can now.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So
can everybody else please mute?
Everybody else, please.
Thank you, Indhu. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Shall I carry on?
Please do. Please do.
Okay. Thank you. So at PRL, I get to work with this data where we try to coordinate the actual how the surface looks like, and by taking the spectra of the surface, can we really link how the surface looks like and what material made up of. Why we did that is because not all the surface can be mapped up to 25 centimeter per resolution, and we in the globally, so these are called targeted data. And if you could actually correlate mineralogy and surface geology, we can, without even having a spectrometer data, we should be able to differ what the surface is made up of. And this is very important when you think about landing site analysis. If India wants to land, because at that time India was also talking because they were brainstorming how the mission should be for even for the upcoming missions, for the future Mars missions. And so we were, for that we needed to have an expertise to think about a landing sites which was not gone by different other missions of different countries like NASA and ESA. So they needed all this expertise, and it was very good learning experience for me to know about Mars, and this paper we submitted and still under revision. So all this different research experience, I always want to know, I want to do PhD in space stuff. So to do a PhD, I needed masters, and to do the masters in planetary science is the main reason I actually I took that research experience at PRL. Before I went there, I just wanted to do a 1 year of experience and then do my masters. That 1 year prolonged to 3 years because research was not very straightforward, which I learned there. And the 3 years of whole experience actually led me to take the masters in planetary science at UCL. And thanks to Commonwealth scholarship, if you want to do a master's in UK with full funding, there are two avenues. One is Commonwealth scholarship and Chevening scholarship. They allow you to do 1 year master's in UK. At the end of this talk, I have lots of links which will be useful for you. And at UCL, we are asked to select certain number of courses. Because I already had an experience of, because I already did some research, I know what is the science I want to build upon to know the research, what I'm interested in, or know the stuff what I'm interested in. That helped me to choose these different courses, including deep earth and planetary modeling towards volcanic studies, earth and planetary materials, planetary atmospheres, melting and volcanism, astronomical spectroscopy, earth and planetary system science. One thing I want to stress here, because when I made this slide, I wanted to show you the different course modules. These modules, including advanced topic in planetary science, volcanism, solar system, all these different topics were not included when I was actually doing my master's. So this is only 3-4 years ago. What I'm trying to stress here is every year or two, this field, planetary field is expanding so much. Every university across the world, they keep on including more and more different subjects. So this is not something that what experience what I had before 7 years and what knowledge and what opportunity what we have right now, it's completely innumerous, it's vast. So keep and do Google. Google is the best friend and best resource that you will ever find. Just type all these random words, and that's how I always got to know most of and all the opportunities. And after my master's, actually by doing end of the master's itself, all this again, the masters, the DLR, everything to put together. And when I applied for my PhD position at DLR, they accepted me. You remember I told you DLR is the place where I did internship back then when I was doing my bachelor's. I happened to come back to the same place again for my PhD. And this all happened with all the different experience, the publications what I had, and all the different things, and all the networking, whatever you do, it all got back to the place what I'm right now. And why I'm stressing this, because I really, really love my PhD. So my PhD is working for a mission called Baby Colombo. It's on its way to Mercury. I remember I told you I was working on Moon and Mars, and my PhD is for Mercury. It's a different planets, but the one thing which always remained the same in my case was spectroscopy. The spectroscopy and its different techniques. So that's why I told you, because having one expertise in you, when it comes to planetary and space research, you can literally apply that expertise to different planets and different fields. So it's a very interdisciplinary field. So we are working for Baby Colombo, and there is an instrument called Mercury Radiometer. It's called MERTIS. It's a Mercury Radiometer thermal imaging spectrometer. So the instrument is capable of mapping the temperature of the surface and also taking the spectrum of the surface in 7 to 14 micron. But Baby Colombo will reach Mercury only in 2026. It was launched in October 2018 and will only reach Mercury in 2026. So what does it mean? My PhD is to work for a data which is flying with Baby Colombo, but I do not have the data. So if you do not have the data, I have to still try to make my PhD, which is to support the instrument. So some people may, when start of the PhD, thought, okay, this is a drawback, but for me, it was an advantage. Because if I did have a data, I would have only worked with the data. Because I didn't have the data, it opened an opportunity to do telescope observations. So never in my whole life, I thought I will do telescope observations in Hawaii, over the top of the mountain. I never thought. Using NASA instrument, I never thought. And also getting a laboratory experience. So DLR, we have this amazing lab called Planetary Spectroscopy Laboratory, where And this is the laboratory. So we have, so in this image, we have 2 instruments, but now we have 3 identical instruments, which is capable of doing spectral measurements from 0.15 to 100 micron, interflectance and transmission. And the most interesting of this lab is this small box. So what does it do? This box is, we can actually simulate different planets. In our lab, the name Planetary Spectroscopy Laboratory literally means that you can literally simulate different planetary conditions in our lab. If you want to study asteroids, you want to study cold temperatures, we can actually go down up to minus 100 degrees Celsius. And if you want to study a planet like Mercury and Venus, which is very, very hot surface, we can reach up to 700 degrees Celsius and do spectroscopy at any desired wavelength you want. And this lab is also open for, it is also under Europlanet infrastructure. So all the links are actually at the end of the slide. If you are interested to work with the lab, you can apply to come to the lab, and Europlanet will fund your research to come to the lab and do the research. And before few months, we collaborated with PRL. So some of our PRL colleagues applied to the lab and they actually got yes, and they're coming to DLR next year to do the measurements. So even you can do that. So keep an eye out. And this is the metal box, which is the spectrometer. So I always call this is a planet. It's a small solar system in the lab. If you think about planet like Mercury and Venus, it's very, very, very hot. In this summer at 30 degrees, 40 degrees Celsius, we ourselves do not behave normally like we are put in under an AC room. Same way, minerals also behave differently. Its spectral features differ because it is in such a high thermal environment. And it's very important to understand how mineral behaves and how spectral feature of a mineral behaves in this extreme environment to actually compare this data with the orbital data. Because orbital data will be the actual data. And if you want to know what the surface mineral is made up of, you want to know how the mineral behaves in a particular planetary environment. And that's what we do. We simulate Mercury and Venus conditions in our lab. And from my standpoint, I had to, until when I was in PRL and even when I was doing masters, all I was working with the data sets, it's some files in your computer. My lab was just a laptop and I used to do all the techniques. It was just within the laptop, nothing more, nothing really exposing us to what really happens in a spectrometer, what really happens in laboratory conditions, what really happens in a planetary environment. What if you take a telescope and you go out there? So all these different experience, all these different opportunity was really, really added a great value to the research experience I have. This is just one example of one of the first papers which I published in my PhD. Here we try to simulate Mercury conditions, but study a mineral called sulfides. And I was keep saying, right, it is very important to study a material under its planetary environment. See here. So here you see these 4 boxes. So we were heating magnesium sulfide, and this is ambient room conditions. When we are heating to 100 degrees, 200 degrees, when we're approaching 300 degrees Celsius, the material literally exploded and it is all over the surface. And this, if magnesium sulfide present on Mercury, and this is how it will behave. It's very important to understand these things under laboratory conditions. So if you are interested in laboratory or data science like AI or whatever you want, planetary science and space exploration have innumerable amount of opportunity that you can ever think about. And all these different experience, all the different studies. So all the yellow dots, what you see here is actual education or research what I had, and all these violet dots you see here is the places we actually went there and gave the talk. Why I kept this slide here? Because this field is very special to me, because it's not only I learn and grow in research, but also get to meet lots of different people, build a huge network of people that expands not only the way of thinking in your research, but also way of thinking culturally and globally. And you get to work with people working in different missions. You get to even work with different missions, not only from India, but also to Europe and NASA and even China. And it's so huge. So this field especially, it's very, very, taking interest in planetary science will, even if you want it or not, you will automatically become a global person, because there is no way that you can do planetary research without collaborating internationally. That is a very, very spicy thing at least it's my personal view, it's a very, very spicy stuff about space research and exploration. When it comes to India, what is happening? I mean, these are all what I was doing, but what is really happening out there? It's a very, very short highlights of what's happening out there. When it comes to India, ISRO's its huge ambitious Gaganyaan mission and Geometer, it's actually our ISRO's artificial intelligence. And we are gearing up to go up to the space and maybe go to, not maybe, one day we'll go to the ISS and maybe even land on the moon very soon. And we landed, I mean, after 1970s, we have not got back to the moon. And it's now we know NASA is getting up to take humans back to the moon by 2024. And this cannot be done by one field or one group of nation or one group of companies. It's again a very international community effort. And we are literally, the next decade of exploration is going from Earth to moon and to Mars. We know moon is such a very nice object which is in our footstep waiting for us to explore and also use the resources to not only go to Mars but also view the universe in a very different new way. I mean, having telescope on Earth, we still have this atmosphere. Astronomers don't like the atmospheres because they do not do good to some of your signals. But having a telescope on moon, you do not have this atmosphere and get to see the universe in a completely new eye. There are so many research opportunities, not just exploring or utilizing the resources of the moon, commercialization and interplanetary space exploration. It has also lots of impacts to other different science on Earth, and also helps us to understand how Earth really formed and how we really evolved. Have you ever thought we have meteorites from different planets? Our moon can still host a meteorite from Earth. It's past Earth. It can still hold, and we still never found it, or whether it holds or not. There are so many different questions that needs to be answered. And just even after 40-50 years of data and space exploration, we still do not know a lot about Earth and a lot about moon, and there's so much to learn. And we already know about Chandrayaan-2 currently exploring moon, and we also know that it's going to be Chandrayaan-3, where we will hopefully land on lunar south pole successfully. And we have JUICE mission, which is by ESA, and it is going to explore the icy moons of Jupiter. This is beyond our asteroid belt in the Jupiter. It is going to explore the Jupiter. And this is one of my very kind of favorite mission. It is a Dragonfly mission. It is going to explore a moon of Saturn called Titan. It's small dragonfly, small helicopters is going to roam the surface of the Titan, is going to explore its lake. So Saturn lakes are made up of ammonia. So ammonia in Earth conditions is just a gas, but in Titan's cold conditions, it is liquid, and it's a lake of liquid. Titan is so close to Earth. It has small mountains, it has such a atmosphere, it has lakes, that's everything. It's so amazing and very mysterious. And we have this Mars, and there's 2 small moons over Mars, and there is going to be JAXA. It's another very ambitious mission of JAXA, which is going to explore the Martian moons. And I mean, when we come to Mars, we'll also have Mangalyaan 2 very soon. And we have Chang'e 4, which is exploring or which did land on the moon in past 2 years. And there is going to be future missions, which again will go to moon from China. And we have exoplanets. All these things are our planets inside the solar system and what is beyond solar system. There are so many missions from the past to new. There are so many missions lined up to actually study what different planets in different solar systems are made up of. And this is another huge field. In the sense, if you're a spectroscopy or astronomer or instrumentation, or if you do any engineering, whatever you do, you have a place to do research in exoplanetary space or any space research. For example, people are now trying to take a first image of a different planet. We know the image of Mercury and Mars and Pluto and even beyond, but what about a planet not our solar system? And there are lots of technology, lots of research going on to building an imaging camera to take a first image of a different planet. So it's whatever field you are, space exploration has a place for you. And if you're interested, I mean, being a bachelor student, I don't know if you got that, but what I want to tell here is, it's not that you suddenly become a planetary scientist, especially in this field, especially when you're coming from India and trying to explore, because it's very important. You need to build your expertise, build your research field, build your CV. In simple words, just build your CV too. And most important thing, you do network, talk to people, express what you're interested in, talk, because when you talk to people, you get to know lots of different opportunities which you were never aware of. Even sometimes Google also didn't tell you. And so this is just to showcase different types of data. So if you're still interested, for example, you're looking for, okay, I want to do my bachelor thesis, and I told, like, there are so many different objects, so many different missions, past missions and future missions. Where can I really get the data of these missions? Here you go. ISRO missions, you can get it from ISSDC. If it's ESA mission, you can get it from Planetary Science Archive of ESA. And this is again a very interoperable data accessed by Europlanet Explorer. They try to do even different types of data, including laboratory data and stuff. If you want to find data of NASA and whatever planet, from asteroid, Mercury, Sun, whatever data of solar system and beyond, you can actually access every mission through NASA portal. Because one very nice thing about NASA and ESA and also maybe Indian missions is because all this data is free to public. It's free. You can literally, anybody can download this data and work with it. And USGS also have a portal where you can download the process data, because when you work with data, you know data is not ready to use. You need to process that. You need to project that. And sites like USGS helps you to do that. And if you want to do, if you are very program, like you love coding, you want to do everything on your own, there are lots of GitHub repositories, just USGS GitHub repository, but there are other various sources that you can do your research on. And something I wanted to stress upon is space is not just for government agencies. Space is also for, especially this is an era of private industries, commercialization of space. And one of the major, among lots of different technology contributions to the, like SpaceX and Blue Origins, and they're literally contributing rockets and instruments and stuffs to the space. But there are also, it is software aspect, in AI aspect. So we are looking at the future where GPUs can be miniaturized and can be flown into the space. So NVIDIA has a huge step on making GPUs to space. And this is just to show how Google and NVIDIA are all getting together to bring or help space exploration. So FDL is, okay, when I was in my PhD in 2018, I happened to be part of this amazing team of FDL. So FDL is Frontier Development Lab. It started with NASA FDL, where NASA, mainly SETI Institute, it collaborates with different private partners like Google Cloud and Lockheed Martin, IBM, NVIDIA, Intel, Planet, Luxembourg. They collaborate with all these different private institutes. They are all these different sponsors. What they do, they bring teams of researchers together. So teams of PhDs and postdocs together. Each team has two expertise: a subject expertise and AI expertise. When you put these two together, the subject expertise know what they want to look. AI expertise know how to do what they want to look. By putting together, we can actually advance research for space science exploration humankind. So this is literally a tagline: artificial intelligence research for space science exploration all humankind. So NASA FDL mainly focus on, so currently FDL also focus on Earth perspective, and NASA, there is an FDL Europe where ESA is now collaborating with some industries within Europe and also US like NVIDIA to advance, to use ESA data sets and bring space science out of it. The FDL is also currently looking to collaborate with India. They are in the footsteps. Soon we may also have FDL India, where ISRO, it will partner with ISRO and other private companies, where students can sit together, PhD students can sit together and use AI to actually understand more about space and other stuff. So what is career opportunity in planetary science? Why do we do all these things? Where does it really take us to? To be a planetary science or space research, I think if you are an engineer, I think it's a very different thing. If you're in the engineering, you're working on a specific instrument or stuff, I think masters is still enough. If you do a good masters, I think you can still be placed in different, maybe different companies. But if you are in a government agency, if you want to work in a government agency, I think PhD is kind of must if you want to really get your promotions very quick, especially for this era. Because back, I do not know about so many years, maybe it was not so mandatory to have a PhD, but to really have the global network and to really, I mean, if you want to submit a proposal, even for instrument, even for science perspective, having a PhD on you, even inside India, it helps you to get lots of funding for your research. So I would say, career opportunity Planetary Science, get your PhD, getting towards PhD, and it will take you to places even which you have never imagined of. What is after PhD? So if you want to stick to an academic career, if you want to do only research and also teach students, if you want to do only research, you can still become only research without teaching in a university, but you can also become a university professor and still continue to do research. So in India, in Planetary Science, you have PRL, you have Physical Research Laboratory, you have Satellite Application Center in Ahmedabad, you have NGRA, National Geophysical Research Institute in Hyderabad, and you have URO Satellite Center. And I think some projects in CEG also look into planetary aspect in Department of Geology. So there are few institutes, and IIT Mumbai also works with some of the planetary research. So what I'm telling right now is on planetary science aspect. In engineering aspect, I think the doors are open. You can literally go to any IITs. I mean, of course, in CG, we did send a satellite 2 years. So you can, there are lots of different opportunities that you should actually look. So use Google, and remember, if you are in CEG, remember the notice board in Red Building, which we never cared to look at in any of the years. Do look at, because there are lots of student opportunities where students get to work in research projects inside CEG itself. So if you are interested, like I told you, talk to people. When I say talk to people, talk to department professors. Talk to whomever you can. Do not judge inside yourself. Oh, maybe he may not know or she may not know. You never know. Talk to them. That's how I got. So Sanjeevi professor in CEG. So he literally played a very major role in my whole career. So he's the one who actually told me, put me into one of a small Planex project inside PRL. I mean, inside CEG on Moon. I didn't work at that time for Moon because I was so naive and I didn't know much about it. But then he at least exposed me to, hey, these are different things happening in CEG, inside computer science department. So there are so many things even happening in CEG. But it is not, I will agree, it is not so open to students much, but I would say students should ask your professors, use clubs like Astronomy Planetary Science Club, tell to the club so that the club can also help exposing the opportunity to different students inside CG. And industry opportunities. So I have never personally worked with industries except for the FDL part. So I don't know how much helpful I can be when telling about industry. I was trying to do this small quick search. I was very happy to see India is also now, now NASA has this very new commercial payload services like clips for Moon. So they literally, you know about everything. You have heard about SpaceX and everything. It's SpaceX coming together with commercial agents to advance next generation of space exploration. Same like India is also has opened the doors for private companies collaborations. And I saw, okay, maybe you know about these companies better. So there is Solar Industries India, Skyroot Aerospace, Varatharajan, L&T, and maybe even more. So what I would really advise to say is, like, talk to people. So I do like planetary. So we also have a Facebook group where we are trying to bring Indians who does planetary science and research and engineering. I've also added the link in the end of the slide. I will ask the host to distribute the slides to you so that you can all be benefited. And you take advantage of that Facebook. You join that Facebook group if you're interested. Take advantage of the Facebook group. Just chat with them. Just ask a question. I'm sure people inside the group will ready to help you in the engineering aspect. And I will also try to post some resources inside the group and some of the Google Doc I'll be already sharing with you right now. So this is a slide I actually made a few weeks ago. So this, okay, I have included this link again in the slide in the results. You make use of it. So US, I think a set of professors in US, they started to build up this huge portal of what are the current opportunities available to do Masters and PhD in Planetary Science. And I am, okay, I think I have to stop share right now because I want to show an actual link. I'm going to start sharing again. I'm going to share my entire desktop. So I just thought today, okay, to show you the different opportunities. The link is now updated. The same is now updated. Now they have started posting opportunities for 2021. Now we are preparing for 2021. So these are now the list is not just restricted to US but also to UK. And I'm really going to pass this data, I think, even to some of my colleagues around, even in Europe, maybe in India, so that they can also add if there's a different opportunity what they have. And you can still see there are like, what I want to say is keep an eye in this list, because this list is going to grow in few months. You're going to find at least 30-40 opportunities, including masters and PhD, to do it in US and other places. Hopefully, I mean, in India, okay, why it is different. In India, you need to really pass different exams to get into PhD, maybe at least PhD in planetary science, but not here, not in these cases, because all these different professors have their own funding and they're literally looking for students to work with. You can write to them and you can work with them. And like, again, I stress again, for a planetary scientist or engineering, get an international experience, getting an international exposure, especially in education time. It helps you not only to grow your network, but also helps you to really understand how different space agencies work and how it is advantageous over there and how it is advantageous over India, how we can literally bring all those things back to India in the future when you're planning to be back. So it is very, very important. You must have an international experience when you do planetary research, because it's literally going to expand the way you think and you act. And sorry. And at the end of the link, I also posted this thing called Career Options in Planetary Science. So this is something which I have been literally trying to do for my own personal thing. So because when I was doing my PhD, I wanted to think beyond, okay, what is the opportunity after PhD? Do I want to go inside engineering? Go inside industry aspect, or do I want to stick to agencies? What are the different fellowships? So I started thinking about it, and I started to do a Google Doc, accumulating all the information I have. Again, if you want to do something, if you want to go for a master's, do not try looking for a master's like 2 months before when you're going to apply. So for me, I would say the Google and constant updating, constant being up to date of all the opportunities, it's what helped me to decide which PhD I want, which masters I want. It's not that we go randomly take one and you get. It's very important to build a career like that for very, very fast growth. So do that. So here, these are all the different things which I actually gathered for myself, and I'm very, very happy to share with you all. I hope it really helps you. It also includes lots of university opportunities, and mainly after PhD, it's like towards your career. So Earthworks job, it literally not only posts some of the professor and postdoc opportunities, but it also posts some of the actual maybe industry opportunities too. And you have Lockheed Martin and okay, I'm an academic, I'm too much into research, so that you see lots of research oriented stuffs here. So you go through this, I'm sure some of these links or other will really, really help you. So I don't know, Sophia is it's a telescope on the plane. It's very, 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 very exciting opportunity. If you're into astronomy and things, it's very exciting. So going into this, there are different fellowships, not only in US, but also in Germany. And I started to accumulate something for India too. And my future steps is to really, really grow this document so that it can literally help all the planetary students, all planetary aspirants in India. So because I am an Indian student, so most of these things most of these resources or all of these resources are eligible for Indian students. So just take a look into it and grow your network. When I say grow your network, for example, when I was actually looking to, looking for masters and everything, I was not simply applying for masters. I was literally emailing people, emailing different professors, trying to talk to them, trying to give them a personal interview, trying to approach them because, hey, I know all these stuffs and I know what you are doing and I want to be a part of it. All these things literally grow a network into a large extent. I'm sorry I keep stressing that because it's very important you do that. And these are, okay, the Google Doc which I showed is here. And these are the different scholarships for UK. And this is the DLR-DAAD PhD fellowship, what I told. So the PhD what I'm doing right now is DLR-DAAD PhD fellowship. Means what? DAAD gives a part of my stipend and DLR gives a space to do research. And they also fund all the international travels, what I do. And there is Indian Academy of Sciences, summer research fellowship. I happen to do this fellowship at IISc Bangalore at the end of my 4th year. That's where I got to do a MATLAB experience. So one very interesting thing about planetary science or stuff is you get to learn lots of different tools and lots of different programming languages. And getting expertise or getting yourself into lots of programming languages also, for example, I cannot simply sit and learn all by myself Fortran, all by myself MATLAB, all by myself IDL or Python, just on my own. You can still do, your time permits. But I happen to really gather all these different experience just by doing projects. You are an engineer, if you're an engineer already you are strong in your algorithms and object-oriented programming language and stuff, just put yourself into lots of different internship opportunities. Talk to people. If some people even not paying you inside India, take up a challenge, do small projects and small tasks during your college, in the planetary field or anything in the planetary field, in any area that you are interested in. It will really take you far. And this is the planetary science community in India, the Facebook group, what I was talking about. This is just I'm passionate for that, so I just put that. And this is the Astro Club of CG. I really hope if you are inside CG, you really know about this club. If you do not, please contact them to the Instagram, join them, and because they literally are in touch with all the seniors, like me, like other seniors who are actually in doing space stuff, in engineering field, in science field, and they will really help you to get you what you really want. And thank you again for giving this opportunity. I hope some of you or many of you really interested in and want to take up and want to at least see what this research field is about in the future. Please ask me any questions or anything you would like to. I would really like to answer. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Indhu. I think Karthik may be reading you a couple of questions that came up on the chat.
Oh, awesome.
Karthik, you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Indhu. That was a wonderful talk. And thank you, Shanta. We have a couple of very interesting questions in the chat. So I thought it would be good to go through them. One was about Tahira is asking, how about the opportunities in research for extraterrestrial life? So they're interested to know about extraterrestrial life.
Thanks, Tahira, for this question. It is one of the very hot topic now. So remember I told you about exoplanet research. It is the main question of exoplanet research is to find a biosignature in a different planet. So there are lots of telescope data, even Hubble Space Telescope and the future James Webb Telescope is going to image and take data from different planets orbiting different sun systems. And we are trying to search for biosignatures. And how are we going to search for, because like I told you, remember I told you spectral signature gives you a fingerprint of different materials. even gases, even atmospheres and everything. So knowing such signals, you can actually try to search for these signals in different planets, but it is not as simple as it looks, because over there you're going to get one signal or 5 signals for an entire planet. Think of taking Earth as 1 pixel data with 1 spectra. You're trying to tell about biosignature of Earth, and we know Earth is full of rich of biolife. So, and we are not going to, though we have like Earth-like planets, not all planets are going to be Earth-like, and there can be any number of probabilities of Earth-like planets. And there is something called a planetary atmosphere generator. I think it's funded by NASA. You just put planetary atmosphere generator in the Google, you will get the calculator. You can literally, so there are huge now in the field of AI, where they're trying to simulate different, very, very different types of planets and what could be their biosignature. So they're literally cataloging a model where different combinations of planets that you can find. It's very interesting. And SETI Institute is mainly focused on the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, but whole exoplanet research is all about it. It's all about it, and that's one of the most hot topic right now, exoplanet research. Keep an eye out for James Webb Telescope and all the Plato mission. There's so many, like you go back to the slide when you have it, all these missions, look for whatever the opportunity that you want to look. There are so many. If you want to do data science, you want to do instrument, you want to do AI, whatever you want to do, it's there. You can do.
Thank you, Indhu. And we have another question, which is more, I think, down to earth, where they're asking about, Madhav Raj is asking, most research institutes ask for some minimum experience, but as a fresher in the data science field, let's say, can you share some tips to make one's resume stand out?
Okay, so when here is Madhav means data science in planetary research.
So in general, even outside of a particular field, as a fresher who does not have experience, how does one build somebody's resume, and how does one make their resume stand out?
Okay, I would say make use of, okay, I cannot really talk about data science, but I would say whatever field you are, whatever you're interested in, when you are inside college, before you become a fresher, build your internship experience. So maybe you through context, so there are, if you're inside CEG, there are lots of internship funded. You have a MyTax. I mean, like I told you, when I went to DLR for my internship, I didn't have any experience. All I know is from my college and stuff. But when you're an intern, they do not really expect you to know much. Internship is to gather those experience. If you're really in the data science field, try to find interns in data science field. So when you are outside fresher, you will already have something to show, and do projects. I'm really talking in academic style, because that's what I know. But do projects, do mini projects. If you're in like do Kaggle stuff, do something, build up your profile, show them, hey, I know this thing. Have a GitHub account. Take some of your mini projects of your interest. For example, you have lots of COVID data right now. It's open source. India's COVID information is completely open source. Try to do some models with that. Build a GitHub account. I think all these things will really help your industry to know, hey, yeah, this guy knows something. Because everybody wants to find profit. They want to get benefited by taking you inside the team. You just want to know, yeah, I am the one whom you need. So you need to build your profile like that. And there are so many opportunities to do that where you are inside college, not wait until you become a fresher.
Thank you, Indhu. And Kirtana is asking if, how do you study or perform research with respect to black holes? So how can we study black holes?
It's a very interesting question. Did you really come to know about the recent black hole imaging and stuff? So Okay, I am not really black hole astronomer, but like I told you, all these Hubble telescopes, they are not only doing exoplanet research. They're literally trying to map the sky, where the sky also have black holes. So black holes kind of emit some of radio signatures and some of the other. Again, it's all spectroscopy. I'm sure if you literally copy paste this into Google, you are going to get lots of different models, because black hole is such a very hot topic to study. And I may not be the right person to tell you about the black hole, but I'm telling you all these thermal signatures what the black holes throw out, and all this high energy stuff which is coming out of the black hole. I mean, energy, not matter, some kind of thermal indirect energy. I'm not a black hole expert. I shouldn't talk more than this, but yes, just throw this question into Google. I know it's a bad answer, but throw this question into Google. You're going to get innumerable number of answers. And there are lots of black hole researchers throughout the globe, even in India. I think ISRO astronomers, just write to some of the astronomers, black hole astronomers in India. PRL also has an astronomy department. I think some people also work in the black hole. So even in India, people, not even India also focus on black hole. Indian astronomers focus on black hole. Please read about them and see what they do. If you're interested, apply, talk to them and see if you can get an internship there. Thanks, Kalpana.
Thank you. And we have another question. How to build a career in astrobiology if planetary sciences can help do that?
Okay, now because we are into a different era where we try to put everything under one box, or try to say again, planetary science and astrobiology go hand in hand. Depends on what planet we're trying to look. And for example, if you take even Earth's moon is barren on the surface. It's just crater scarred surface, no atmosphere, very bad. But its poles, we have millions of tons of water ices on moon's pole, and we know that through data. And there are still questions about what about early organic life or something on Earth's moon's ice. So many of the future objectives, the reason why India wanted to land on South Pole and why every other missions now targeting lunar poles is to literally explore these ices. So this is planetary science and astrobiology coming to picture. And same thing like Mars, we have Curiosity mission. When all the other future missions to Mars is search for water. Search for water means search for past life. So Mars is a planet, we do planetary science, and then it goes in hand with astrobiology. Astrobiology is just, and again exoplanet, trying to find a biosignature in an exoplanet, this again comes with astrobiology. So it is not really two different subjects that you want. So that's what I want. So if you are an astrobiology working on a planet, you can still call yourself as a planetary science and astrobiology. I would say do not try to put yourself into a very separate boxes. Especially in the field of planetary science, you are never expertise in one field. When I do my Ph.D. in MERTIS data science, I even get to learn a little bit of orbital mechanics and all these stuff to understand how vehicle was going to the Mercury and everything. So it's a very, very interesting field. When you are a planetary scientist, you are jack of all trades. You are rarely master of one. So if you do astrobiology, just apply the astrobiology into a planetary aspect to Moon, Mercury, Europa. If you know Europa Clipper, it's a mission which may be hopefully landing on Europa icy moon of planet Jupiter, and it is going to drill the icy moon to search for life in its subsurface ocean. Europa has very thick subsurface ocean, kilometers of thickness of subsurface ocean, and they wanted to search for life in the subsurface ocean of Europa. So it's again planetary science and astrobiology. So yeah, I think I try to answer.
Thank you. And we have just a couple more. I know it's 10 minutes after, So the two questions that Kirtana and Tushar have asked. One is about what are the branches of engineering one can choose to pursue one's career in astronomy-related areas. What is the branch of engineering they're asking? I'm assuming this is beyond bachelor's, because we're all mostly CEG students in the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Chana, I didn't stress upon this. Doesn't matter what engineering background or science background you are in. Like I told you, so space exploration is not a subject like physics or chemistry. It's not. Planetary science space exploration is huge. It has no limits to what expected. So even if you are a medical doctor, you have a place in space exploration. So they need doctors out there. We need to know how astronauts and how some of the stuffs behave in a microgravity environment. Even human body behaves in microgravity environment. If people want to do surgery in a microgravity environment. So even if you're a doctor or engineer or scientist, you can space exploration have a space for you. So it all comes down to what you really want to do. If you like what, do not worry about, hey, if I take this, I can become a space. No, just go with what you love to do. If you want to do manufacturing engineering, again, space has place for you, because what material you're going to use for different environmental conditions. Venus, its surface is 96 bar, means 96 times the pressure of Earth's atmosphere, and its temperature is 500 degrees Celsius. Can you build an instrument which stands such a harsh environment? Come on, if you're an ECE, EEE, manufacturing, material science, whoever you are, you can still find a place in a space field area. So nobody will tell you take this branch of engineering to get into space. Whomever you are, even if you are an artist or a media science, I'm sure you'll have a space. You'll have a place to find in astro-related area. It will be very, very bad of me if I tell you, no, take aerospace engineering. No, that is not the best advice. I will only say, go with your flow. Whatever you love to do that. Space exploration has place for you, definitely, no matter what you do.
Okay. Thank you, Indhu. And the final question is about what yields jobs currently with respect to cosmology and astrophysics. So Tushar is asking about cosmology and astrophysics and with respect to the job market.
Okay, I would say, I still don't know how, but I would say the most optimal job market is research field. So you need to find a place where they pay you for your research. Like places like you can become scientist in India, in like IIA, PRL, place like that. Or you can still become an independent researcher by applying to individual fellowship, where government will fund you for your particular research, and you can build your own team with that fund. You can take your own PhDs and master students and build your own lab and facilities like that. I would say, at least to my knowledge, very specific like cosmology and astrophysics. If you still want to stick to that kind of research, academia is a only place. But you can obviously use such expertise even in different types of markets like data science, because in all these different fields, you use lots of data, you use lots of machine learning models and many of these things. You can always say, hey, I did my research, I did my PhD in cosmology, but I want to work your company. Just the data is different, but the models are the same. You can still do that. So, yeah. I hope I answered it.
Thank you, Indhu. Excellently so. Wonderful. Thank you. We see a lot of kudos already in the chat window. Ashwin is saying congratulations for your current work with Depi Colombo. So thank you for your time, and thank you for answering all the audience's questions patiently. So thank you, Indhu, and thank you everyone for attending. Stay tuned for all our future webinars from the Ask a CEGN program, and looking forward to a future webinar. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, everyone in the CEGN team and the audience for kindly being patient with me and listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will send out links for the recordings later. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.